Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. For today, what I wanted to go ahead and do is actually respond to another Jubilee video, or react, I should say, to another Jubilee video where they have body positive people doing a middle ground episode with fitness enthusiast people. I personally have not seen this whatsoever. I have no idea what I'm going to see, but I would consider myself to be somewhere in the middle of both sides of this issue. And I want to see if that holds true, or if I do end up leaning more towards one side or the other. So let's go ahead and see what happens. As you guys know, I'm all about educating on fatness on this channel. So let's see what I think, as far as who's saying more stuff that is true versus more stuff that is false, or if they're both someone in the middle. Let's go ahead and get started.
In an effort to not have challenging conversations in this day and age, it's like, well, you do you, like whatever's best for you, but then what if best for you is actually harmful to yourself and or others?
Yes, I agree with her.
On that left pool of light, can I have my body positive votes? On the right pool of light, I'll have my fitness enthusiasts. Remember to not step forward unless the statement is you with you. My health is a top priority in my life.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and answer. I would say yes. I think about my health every single day. It's the first thing I think about in the morning, basically. So it's been a major focus, especially with having had a health crisis, particularly in 2020 and 2021. Those 2 years were my lowest point. So I am always thinking about my health every day now, and I never take it for granted because of that.
You never know how bad you feel until you start feeling better than you've ever felt in your life. And I've been.
So I don't agree with that statement right off the bat. I think you sometimes don't understand how bad you feel until the ground falls beneath you and you have a really serious issue.
On both ends of the spectrum, and damn, it's very different to now being like really focused on the mind, body, and soul, and like really having all parts just as equal as the others.
For me, I am a cancer survivor, and so my entire
So she probably really thought about it.
life now is about making sure that I have a life, to continue. So
Yeah, I was diagnosed with lymphedema at age 3, which affects the circulation for me through my legs and feet. So health for me has always been at the top of my mind, because if I don't take care of my body, I could have an amputated foot or leg. So it's nothing that I play around with.
All of my family almost has suffered from.
Yeah, so I'm in agreement. Like I said, I had very serious health issues in 2020, especially. It was the worst year of my life in terms of my health, which I've described many times on this channel. It was very severe hypo, caused by a lot of different things I did, and just a history of dieting, just a lot of stuff I was doing, basically everything wrong, and it all collided, and I didn't understand why I kept getting worse and worse. And it was so bad that I feared passing away on an almost daily basis throughout 2021. So it was really bad.
Diabetes, heart disease, and stuff like that. So that's why
it was really only when I got towards spring of 2022 where I started to be like, okay, I think I'm gonna make it. Like, I have to start like living more again, because most of 2021, it was my entire focus was like just getting through the next day, basically, or like making it through, because it was so severe. It's kind of crazy to think about now because I feel so much better than I did then, but it was that serious for me over that time. So when I think about it, after spring of 2022, I stopped fearing that as much, but I will take it seriously for the rest of my life. I never did before. Not really. It was always on the back burner. It was always, I have to do all this other stuff, and my health, I'll deal with that later. I'll deal with it later. I'll take, I'll figure this out later. And it never came. And yeah, so.
Extra conscious about my health.
It's like, I know I keep interrupting, but I tried to be keto and stuff. I tried losing weight as fast as possible because I really was just focused on getting the weight off. I wasn't focused on health. And so I did it in ways that were damaging health-wise, especially because of where I was at, and it damaged me further. And I reached a crisis. So that's why I have some of my views on this that I do.
Because I don't want to come down with any of those diseases.
I have a regular workout routine.
So I would say somewhat yes and no. My job is active. So when I'm working, I'm walking between, I'd say 3 or 4 hours a day, which is really, really good at my size. That's like a lot of activity at my size. So I'm very much a proponent of activity. I think as soon as you can, depending on how severe you are, if you cannot handle physical activity, then just wait until you can. But as soon as you can, I recommend physical activity for anybody as long as you can handle it. And you don't ever want to be, when you're very big and like very hypo and you have all these problems like that, you don't want to be super harsh or gasping for breath. You just want to be walking, lifting weights, doing stuff like that, but you should be engaging your muscles and being as active as possible. It's extremely beneficial to this process and for weight loss in general. And I will say, like, it's definitely helped my insulin resistance issues and all that kind of stuff. Anything regarding your carb metabolism, being active is hugely, hugely beneficial. So definitely get on it. And building muscle is very important for your hormone health and for thyroid health, as it's much more supportive to your thyroid than the fat on your body, which is more antagonistic to the thyroid. So body composition is also a huge, huge focus, and you want to be exercising and moving to strengthen your bones. There's just so many things. It's really endless, the amount of benefit of being active. So yes, I am very active. I walk 3 hours, 4 hours a day. And then sometimes I do go to the gym as well, but I can't always do it, which we're getting out of the winter now, so I should be able to pretty soon. But you just have to focus or figure out what you can do, pick things up, drop them off whenever you can, especially when you're of a big size or when you're at like a more difficult place within the journey. Sorry, that was long, but yes, activity is very good.
I've been working out consistently since I was 19 years old. I used to work out 2 hours a day, but then I realized it's way too long. So now my workout sessions with weights are about 45 minutes, and then the rest is stretching and cardio. And I spend a lot of time stretching because it allows me to get in the zone, kind of like a meditation of sorts.
It's all mental. Like, I go.
Sounds awesome. I think that would be cool to have that kind of routine. Like I said, for me, I think walking at this point is definitely a huge part of my life. It really started in 2022. I barely started being active in October of 2021 because I was so sick, like I said. But I was like, I need to start trying. After I reached that 6-month spot within this journey, I needed to start being more active because it was like, you got to, and it was really awful and horrible and really hard. But daily activity and being very, very active became a huge part of my life in 2022. And it's huge. Like, I can't imagine not walking in the day anymore, or not having physical activity. Like, I think it is very, very instrumental to my life. So whether I'm walking or not, if I wasn't, I probably would be lifting weights at the gym. Like, I just don't think I could not be active at all at this point. So you take it slow, but you got to make it a part of your life and just do it. I needed to for my job, so it forced me, but it was for the best, for sure. So hugely, hugely important.
To the gym or work out or do something kind for my body in forms of movement every day because it keeps me sane. Like, if I don't go there, then I feel like something's missing and
Same
I get
here.
a little bit depressed.
Singing all by myself back there. I was going to the gym regularly every day for like 6 months, and then my life shifted. I lost my father. Like, a lot of things happened in my life that threw off my whole routine. And so the point when I was going to the gym so regularly, I felt like my brain felt happier. Like, I've gotten that feeling back in other ways. I have no desire in me to change my body in any way. I like when my butt gets a little bigger. I agree with you on that one.
Not at all.
See, this is where we're gonna
No.
get, because I will tell you, not every big person wants to be small.
I love how they cut off the conversation when it was going to get kind of sassy. But I would say I can definitely understand that. It's tough. Whenever something really big like that happens, it's really hard. But my suggestion is, again, I started doing this different type of protocol. And when I was keto, I could not stay on it if something stressful happened because my adrenals and everything were so messed up that I could not handle any stress. So if anything traumatic happened or anything stressful happened, I would immediately fall off. With the diet that I've been doing now, the more pro-thyroid approach to things, I've been through extreme financial stress on a daily basis, with all the inflation and everything going on. I've really struggled. I've been arguing with people and, there's just been a lot of interpersonal drama and financial stress, and I've still stayed strong because the diet I do now, it feeds into my system for me to be able to handle stress better. I think a lot of people get into the trap of trying to make their life perfect so that they can do their thing. But you have to kind of just strengthen yourself and strengthen your own resilience. And I would say most importantly, physically, but also emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You need to become stronger and more resilient because life is not perfect and you cannot wait for the perfect time to start losing weight. It's just never going to happen that way. So, yeah, develop practices to be able to stay strong in times of trauma and stress as much as you can. That would be my suggestion. But nobody's ever perfect. And I can understand to a certain extent the death of a family member. Like, it's very, very difficult, right? Those kind of things are really hard. But you have to pick it up at a certain point again, It's difficult. Something like a divorce or a death or, other stuff that's really, really severe, it can be difficult. But again, there has to come a point where you live your life again. So you have to figure that out. And it's tough, for sure.
I'm conscious about what I eat.
Definitely, as you guys know, I avoid seed oils in all shapes and forms. I literally have not had fast food. Like, I haven't had McDonald's or like a French fry or something. It'll be 2 years really soon. I started this protocol March 15th, 2021. So it's kind of crazy how long it's been since I've gone to a fast food place. I'm very cognizant of those oils and, that kind of stuff. I'm very, very conscious of what I eat.
My mom had me in Weight Watchers in junior high. Like, so my relationship with food and what I'm putting into my body has been like completely, can we curse, fucked up, like since the very beginning.
I've had a severe sugar addiction since I was a kid.
And it, like the binge eating, like it makes you feel like everything, I can't have this is the enemy. So when I see it and I can have it, I'm like, oh, I want to eat it all.
Every day I wake up.
So the thing about Weight Watchers is it's extremely focused on low-fat dieting. It really pushes for low fat. So most of the points, they're very antagonistic to especially saturated fat, which is difficult because it makes it very, very unsatiating. So it really shifts you. When my mom was doing Weight Watchers, she was constantly eating turkey, which turkey is okay, but if you're only having turkey and you're like never having red meat, for example, you're never having anything like pork, just anything that's a little bit fattier, it's kind of starvation. You know, you feel really hungry, and it's like popcorn with a lot of those seed oils in it and ground turkey breast and, you know, pasta. Like, it's just stuff that is, the way that it orients you, it's not super pro-thyroid. Like, they do encourage eating fruit, which is good, but they really lack on the fat side of things, and that can be difficult from a hormonal perspective because we do need, especially saturated fat, to both feel satiated and also to produce thyroid hormone and other hormones. That's really the issue with Weight Watchers. It's mostly that typical diet where it's a lot of seed oils, a lot of, you know, unsaturated fats, and just sugar, carbs, and it makes you really hungry. But I think that's probably by design. So I think that diet plan, the way that it works, it would make you hungrier over time because you ultimately you're not only in a deficit calorically, but you are also greatly reducing fat. And it's not the most satiating thing to do it that way. I'm just saying.
I have a green smoothie. I'm always very conscious of like
green smoothies, a lot of greens. They're very, very anti-thyroid. They have oxalates in them. They have anti-thyroid effects, especially when raw. But especially something like kale. Kale is so incredibly anti-thyroid. I ate a lot of kale when I was keto. It was horrible. Horrible. So I would never suggest a green smoothie on this protocol that I'm doing. I just wouldn't. Greens are not really your thyroid's best friend. Your thyroid wants fruit. Your thyroid wants bananas and apples and, you know, mangoes and like this kind of stuff. It doesn't want just greens. There's not any calories in greens. Like, it wouldn't make sense for us to evolve eating greens if you really consider it.
I'm always very conscious of like what I'm putting into me, which I think is, I'm just gonna say the controversial statement, I think is something that people would never think is true based off the size of my body.
So for me, knowing what I know about thyroid health, it doesn't surprise me that you struggle with this kind of thing, especially if this person is eating fast food in addition, or just eating a lot of calories. Starting out your day with a green smoothie, it's really going to slow down your metabolic process for the whole day and make you hungrier and feel worse most of the time, especially if you are already overweight and already very hypo. You will feel it stronger than the sort of thin, athletic person that probably doesn't have, you know, very much hypo, even if they do have it. Some athletic people do. If they overtrain, they can, if you overtrain or you overeat, you can kind of give yourself a mild form. But with somebody who's really big, you already have all that fat on your body working against you. So when you start your day with a green smoothie, it's not going to help you. It will probably tank your energy. It's not going to be good. I would not suggest that. And you can see the evidence. So when he says that, I'm not surprised at all. Because a lot of the science, or a lot of what they tell us, it's not helpful at all, especially at a certain size. It doesn't even apply anymore, or it's not helpful whatsoever. It's kind of sad.
So much studies that are coming out, like in terms of like your microbiome, like the microbiome that you have, like you can literally eat green smoothies and eat like everything you're supposed to be eating.
I don't think you should be eating that. I've already said that, but I would say the microbiome, it does have an effect, but a lot of times within the context of obesity, which again, we're talking about something very specific, microbiome issues can come from low stomach acid, which low stomach acid can come from, you guessed it, hypo, as well as nutrient deficiencies, particularly potassium. If you're not getting enough potassium, you will develop low stomach acid. The potassium is literally what makes our stomach acid acidic. So, how many fat people do you know that are eating tons of fruit every day? I would say probably not a lot, because that fruit is so high in sugar. It's so bad. So if I'm going to eat bad anyways, I'm going to have just candy, right? Or I'm just going to eat bread. I'm just going to eat what I want, because that fruit, whatever, it has sugar and it's bad. That's such a psychology of how fat people think about fruit. And again, low stomach acid, microbiome issues.
And then people who are thin, they're just really thin, but they eat McDonald's every day.
What they don't realize is how much they're clogging their arteries.
So McDonald's, and again, people don't understand, but you can still suffer severely from inflammation, hypothyroidism, everything, even being thin. But again, it's not always going to affect people in the same way. But a lot of times what I've seen is certain studies that people that have a lot of fast food that remain thin, that go less of a hypo direction, they tend to have more inflammation, particularly like in their joints and stuff like that. But you can still have the same toxic effects from those rancid, horrible seed oils, hydrogenated soybean oil in the McDonald's fries, for example. It will still have disastrous effects on your cardiovascular system and your health, your mood, your hair, your skin, everything. Like, it ages you very badly. It's very, very harsh. Even if you stay thin, it doesn't mean that it isn't doing anything to you. But again, if you're very, very big, you will feel all of that pretty drastically.
And they die of heart attacks more than quote unquote big people.
Sometimes, yes, because when you are so big, things can affect you so much. It's like how I never was vegan, because as somebody who was really big, veganism hit me and affected me so drastically, so fast, that I knew it wasn't healthy and I never would stick to it. So sometimes when you're in a worse state, you can feel things better and you don't do things that are harmful. So it can be protective at times.
I received negative feedback about my body growing up.
Definitely, but who hasn't?
Oh, there you go.
I would have people, like some family members be like, oh, you look a little heavier than you did last year. And then other family members that were a lot more direct, like, when are you gonna lose the weight? And it's been like that, I would say, my whole life. And then we got to a point where I was getting compared to my little sister, who's like beautiful and thin. And it's like, it is so hard not to compare yourself to other people. It is so hard to have a healthy relationship with food and with fitness and just with other people. And it became so difficult to break out of that and to really love who I am inside.
Sure. My stepmom.
Yeah, and I think that that's a lot of times what is so toxic about putting so much emphasis on appearance. And a lot of fat acceptance activism, it has to do with appearance, but it's because a lot of us, there was so much focus on our appearance. growing up as an overweight person. There is so much focus on how you look that a lot of people, they do internalize that. And you shouldn't be talking about these issues in that way, because it's not really about that, especially like as a kid, you know, it's like, I don't know. I just think it's really mean. Like, could you imagine telling a kid that they're ugly? I don't know. That's so mean. I don't know. Just isn't necessary to even go there.
My stepmom would take, like, if I had a wrapper of chips like in my room, like she would put it on top of like my dresser and say like, I'm not the reason why you're fat, this is. Like, it was all very like, but it was super crazy psychological, because I was like, we've never even discussed this before.
It's kind of weird, but I think the issue is, once again, miseducation on the issue. Like, this person thinks eating a green smoothie every day is healthy for especially weight loss. It's not. So again, we have been lied to a lot. And yes, the chips are a huge issue. Absolutely. I will be the first one to tell you that. But it's not always just about knowing what not to do. It's about knowing what to do. And we aren't taught the right things at all.
I'm from Texas. We all eat soul food. So everybody was eating the same shit food. So my mom, 250 pounds, my brother, 350 pounds. But I was eating the exact same foods, and I didn't even know until I got around Los Angeles health conscious people. I'm like, what? Wait, you mean to tell me you don't have freaking bacon cheeseburger every single day? I didn't know.
So like, when you got to LA, what triggered it in your head that said, oh, this to me is the right way for me to look
I
now?
wanted to be a model.
The idea that you wanted to become a model, and the only idea of model to you meant being thin or fit or whatever that means.
Yeah, that's all
See, it's interesting because I would say both groups in this presentation, they focus heavily on looks. I don't. I'm not here as a beauty guru, you know. Of course, I want to look as good as I can. I would encourage anybody to. Like, who cares, right? I think being pretty or doing things for beauty is fun, but it's not life and death. Like, your health is life and death. You know, taking care of your body is life and death. Like, I just think it's okay to be superficial at times, right? At time and place. But when it comes to these serious discussions, it's just not really right to me, you know? So it's kind of frustrating actually to watch this, and they're talking so much about looks and stuff. I would just say it's even frustrating hearing that a bacon cheeseburger is unhealthy, for example. It's what is so wrong with bacon, cheese, and meat? I mean, I could see maybe the bread, but it's not even the worst thing people eat. So it's just frustrating. But it's that same narrative that has failed for decades, and it just continues to fail. Green smoothies are healthy. Meat is unhealthy, right? Horrible.
So, because it wasn't as popular.
Horrible.
Thin or fit or whatever that means.
Yeah, that's all I saw, because it wasn't as popular. Like, plus size wasn't popular back then when I was 18 years old.
Plus size is definitely not
but
popular.
But it still opened up way more than it was when I was 18.
The conversation, I will say, is much more broad now. I feel like we're able to talk about these things a lot easier.
Yeah, so Jubilee here, they're just pushing that same narrative. They're trying to really push this idea that people are meant to be huge, that people are meant to be super morbidly obese or really, really big, that that's just normal, that's just a part of human variation. That's very much where Jubilee is. You know, the fact that this guy was really only focused on his looks, it does tell me that it's possible that he may have, you know, he may do things that are not healthy to get to a certain appearance, which I will say on this channel, I do not stand for that whatsoever. We put health above aesthetics on this channel. We put health above aesthetics here. That is huge, because I've done the wrong things, and you don't ever want to do that. There's nothing wrong with having aesthetics, but you do not want to put it before your health, because your health is the most important thing.
Now than we were before, but what the actual way that the industry treats plus size models is totally different.
Sometimes people use being body positive as an excuse not to take care of themselves.
Obviously, yes.
This question makes me very passionate. This is really big for me because I've been like come for from other body positive influencers, but I feel like that messages other people put out are very dangerous to a young woman who thinks that it's okay. I don't care what size you are, it's not okay to sit and eat cheeseburgers and ice cream all day. Like, that has nothing to do with your size.
See, it's very interesting to me how they demonize those types of foods. Something like burgers, so like the actual meat, cheese, bacon, for example, that is not anti-thyroid. If you look at ice cream has sugar, it has saturated fat, it has protein, it has a lot of nutrients in it, especially depending on the source. But if you were to compare the effect on your thyroid to something like a green smoothie, one is so much drastically better than the other. And of course, keeping calories realistic, of course, you know, realizing that if you eat 5 billion calories a day, it's gonna be insane, right? But if you look at the actual foods that they're demonizing in this video, it's very interesting. It's the same things every time. It always goes in those directions. It's very, very interesting. Because I can assure you, fat people are hearing these messages and they're thinking, oh yes, the green smoothie is healthy, but this other stuff that I actually want to eat is unhealthy. So let me just keep trying to eat the things that I don't even care about, even though they're actually making the situation worse, like a green smoothie.
I think there's a difference between.
And then if I eat something that my body's craving because it provides stuff, particularly for my thyroid, like sugar, saturated fat, protein, etc., like in an ice cream, it's a very highly palatable food that people will crave whenever they're very stressed, because it's a very quick, fast nutrition, especially, like I said, if it's a better source. But people will crave that kind of thing because your body's craving those building blocks of thyroid hormone, especially when you are unhealthy. So it's easier to just demonize the craving, I guess, than to actually solve the issue. And let's say lean heavier on something like fruit. You know, it's just crazy. How many fat people do you know that eat tons of fruit every day? I would say probably very, very little.
Acceptance and agreement. So like you can accept your body and be in disagreement with the health situation that you have, right?
Absolutely. So she's completely right there.
Like
We hear fit experts always saying, be skinny, lose weight, that's the healthy way to do it.
like,
So-
how
but
could
we
you
never
love your
say-
body if you're fat?
At least we don't say, be fat because it's better for your heart.
Some people do say that, but it is definitely promoted these days, but it doesn't really matter. The point is kind of moot. Nobody has to have six-pack abs to be healthy. That's totally just like aesthetic, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But most people aren't saying that. They're saying don't be morbidly obese, which I would agree with. It's awful. And I just don't think that, I get angry when people are dishonest about it because it's not the same. And I know Jubilee is trying to push that it's the same, but it isn't.
It's better for your soul, it's better for your, you know what I mean?
Honestly, even what you just said, like body acceptance versus body agreement, like to you, you might see one of us and be like, oh, they accept their.
So they're kind of getting extra now. She's only saying in concept, you can feel positively towards your body, but not accept the state of health that you're in. As a concept, that is possible. Period. That's all she's saying, which is true. Again, I advocate for body neutrality on my channel. I think it's better to just accept your body as it is in the moment and work from there rather than get caught up in how much you hate your body or how much your body is looking amazing and all that. I just think it's extra on both ends, in my opinion.
Bodies, but I'm sure they don't agree with what it looks like.
I mean, I wouldn't know unless I talked with someone, but like, whatever the number, like whatever like is coming up in terms of like, you know, when you go to the doctor, like at the end of the day.
No, let's not even
But
start.
even better, as fit people, when you see a person who
It's interesting. Interesting.
is overweight or fat or obese, however you want, whatever term you want to use, what's the first thing that happens in your head? Do you think like, oh, like it's great that they accept themselves, but they could use to lose weight? Or what is your first thought when you see something?
My very first thought, no one's like born that way. So you like there's habits and things that you observe.
But you
from
actually can be
childhood.
born with that.
Say, like,
So that's true. Obviously true that your habits affect your size. It's extremely true, but a lot of people in fat acceptance, they try to deny this or act like it's not true at all. So let's see.
we could eat the exact same thing and be two different people.
It could be how you're raised.
You could eat the exact same thing. So that is true to an extent, but it's not completely true. If you eat 10,000 calories a day, you will be huge no matter who you are. If you eat 0 calories a day, you will waste away to nothing and eventually pass away. Either end of the spectrum. You can say that there's some variation here or there, especially in terms of like hormonal health and these types of issues that people tend to have, but the variations are never that drastic. It's usually a few hundred calories a day. Even something like age, it's like 200 or 300 calories of a difference. It's nothing huge. So people definitely, they overestimate how much variation there is. Although there is some variation, you are fat because you are eating a lot. There's no way around that. I'm sorry. You can try to lie to other people, but you're not going to lie to me. I'm not going to accept that.
Parenting and stuff like that. I didn't really know what to expect.
And also, too, I can't stand it when fitness people actually buy into that as well. It's super toxic and it's insane. Because, again, I thought the whole point was to help. Which I'm not saying anybody here is doing that, but I have seen fitness people do that where they say, you know, people, when they eat different calories, like blah, blah, blah. Again, it's always so much overblown. There is a huge difference in terms of like your height and like if you're male or female. And even with your age, but like I said, the age, it's a little bit less of a difference than those other two things. But it's really about hormonal health, because if you don't need that much food, if your body was working properly, you wouldn't have that much of an appetite. So that's really what people need to focus on. It's dealing with the hunger. It's figuring out why it's there. It's figuring out why you're eating so much. People don't think about that. They're not talking about it at all. They're just talking about very basic things and appearance, which is so awful.
Today, I didn't know how the body positive individuals were going to come across. I didn't know if they were for a healthy lifestyle or not, but I think it's beautiful that you guys acknowledge how important it is to keep yourself healthy.
I think he's trying to be positive about it, and I can understand that, but I would probably be really extra if I was on this panel. I'd just be like, I don't know, the world better watch out, because the day that I'm thin, oh honey, the world is not going to be ready for that. You think I'm bad now, just wait. I'm just kidding.
Do I feel like there are
They were
people
laughing
in the
with
body
me.
positive community that say, well, I'm just happy being fat and I'm just going to lay down and just do that? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Fat pride, hashtag fat pride was something that was going on
It's
for a
become
little while.
just body positivity in general has become a
Yeah,
big buzzword that everyone just
exactly.
throws.
It's all over the place.
Exactly.
You said something at some point that body positivity and like health and stuff is different. Like,
Yeah.
is that what everybody thinks?
The actual body positive
There's a lot of people that are extremely hostile towards people pursuing health in any way, shape, or form within the fat positivity, fat acceptance space. You see countless examples of celebrities losing weight, them going after them, It's all over the place. This happens all the time.
Community was created to give a platform to bodies that have been marginalized in our society.
Right.
That's what it was actually created for.
Which means
big bodies,
big bodies,
disabilities,
super skinny bodies, I mean, anything.
Right, different.
So that's not true anymore, actually, because they go after everybody. And if you're skinny, they say, no, get out of here, blah, 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 which, I mean, whatever. Like I said, I myself am not a proponent of body positivity. I advocate for body neutrality, but whatever. They want to fight about something that I don't even agree with anyways, then fine, go ahead.
Races. And I want to scream because I'm like, actually, this is not meant for you. This is meant for bodies who don't have a voice.
The fitness community is the reason why the body positive community exists, and I think that as a community.
That doesn't make sense. Why? She just says that and then there's no explanation. Unless if you're saying it's because they focus so much on appearance that we have to as well. But that's kind of dumb. Wouldn't you just kind of rise above it or something? But literally there's no explanation. Everybody there is just like bobblehead. Yeah. That's what's so frustrating about these Jubilee presentations. They really don't, a lot of times they do not have any real diversity and perspectives. It's really cringy to watch.
It's important for you guys to be a little bit more inclusive.
People come up to me.
And then they cut off the conversation.
It was really great talking with you guys on that. I think we really did find a middle ground. But we did. I think we all realized that it's like it's not this line.
Yeah, they all realize that they all care only about appearance. They all realize that they demonize things that will help your thyroid and promote things that will hurt it. They all agree that this issue should not be resolved. I would say yes to all those things, with the exception of the fitness woman. She actually seems like she's on her way. This is back in 2019. So I will say, it is frustrating. We can see how the issue has not improved whatsoever. This video obviously did not help. It doesn't help the situation at all. It's just using people's pain and health issues for making it a topical conversation and a political conversation, which is essentially all that Jubilee does, apparently. I don't know if Jubilee has ever helped anything, but it's very frustrating to see this kind of thing, to see people not even approach the actual issues. They didn't even discuss hunger, for example. They didn't even discuss anything of substance. It was all about looks and wanting to be a model or whatever. It's just crazy. But with that, you guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you like this, please do like it. We're gonna try to turn this ship around, okay? Promise. I'm gonna fight, okay? We're gonna fight for this. But anyways, I am so grateful to you guys for giving me some grace during this move. It's been tough, but I'm actually very much happier where I'm at now. And thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all your likes, comments, subscriptions, everything. It really, really helps. And we're going to turn this around. I'm telling you, I am like, when it comes to this health stuff, I'm like a woman scorned. I am going after this. I'm not going to shut up about it. Thank you guys so much. I will talk to you guys again very, very soon. Bye.